Trolling for trout in the fall can produce some big bites and have some epic days of even 10 and up to 20 trout. So to help you have one of those days, let's go through the top 7 fall trolling for trout tips. What is going on, you out there Mavericks? Welcome back to the channel. Now there's nothing like a fall trout fishing bite with that rod in the rod holder and yelling fish on when you see that tip just bury in the rod holder. I love trolling for trout in the fall because you can use a variety of different baits and you can get on that 1 or 2 really big bites to end the fall season with a lunker or even a broodstock sized trout. So when it comes to trolling for trout in the fall, my first tip is to use a variety of different baits. Now when it comes to trolling for trout, you have so many different options, and the fall season allows you to use a variety of baits and everything that you can imagine that's in your tackle box. When it comes to trolling, you've got baits like spinfish, you've got spinners, you have hoochies, you have wedding rings. There are so many baits that you can use. The sky is the limit, and it gives you a great opportunity to plug and play and try different baits out to find out what the trout are liking and to get on a really good bite. Now the number 6 tip for fall trolling is to cover the same area or troll the same spot more than once. Now if I'm out trolling for trout and it's a new area that I'm fishing or somewhere that I haven't fished in a while, I will go through there, make a pass, and see how it's going. But if I'm marking fish or seeing fish, I will go through the same spot multiple times, maybe even up to 5 times, passing through the same area. I think a lot of times when people are out trolling for trout in the fall, they try to cover way too much water sometimes. If you have a success in one area, or even if you don't, but you're seeing fish on your electronics and the graph, go through that same area more than once, because there's a good possibility and a good chance that by going through there a second time, you actually might get the attention of the trout and get a bite or 2 or even 3 and have an epic triple on. Now tip number 5 has to do with bait colors, and what I mean by that is your reds, pinks, silvers, and golds, and even chartreuses are your best friends in the fall. When it comes to picking my colors of lures or jigs or spinners or the baits that I'm using when I'm trolling in the fall, I like to pare down, and there's certain ones that I like the most in the fall time frame. And for me, those are red, pink, black, silver, gold, and chartreuse are probably my 6 go-to colors when it comes to hardware and gear that I'm trolling behind the boat. Now pinks and reds are going to imitate baits like crawdads that the trout are really going to mensch on before the winter season. And then you've got more natural and subtle colors like black, silver, and gold. Depending on the sunshine, the trout really love this time of year in the fall. So as you're picking your baits and colors, think about using these 6 in particular and the first ones that you're going to use, and I guarantee you, you're gonna find a bite right away. Now tip number 4 is something that I've been doing a little bit more recently in the last few years, which is tipping my baits with corn, night crawlers, and salmon eggs. A lot of times when we're trolling for trout and fishing with hardware, say spinners or the new spinfish from Yakima Bait, we fish them naked without any scent or anything on the hooks. But this is a great opportunity to add some baits, albeit small, because you don't want to overload them too big so that the bait doesn't rotate or move the way it's supposed to. So by adding some baits to your presentation, you're also going to be adding some scent and some scent trails that are going to attract some trout. But with that extra scent, it's going to give you a higher percentage chance to get a hookup or even multiple hookups. Now tip number 3 is something I think is overlooked a lot by trout anglers when they're trolling, which is to troll in shallower to the bank. Now in the fall time frame, you still may have warm water, so the trout are going to be hanging out a little bit deeper in the cooler water, say like on the big lakes. But as the water starts to cool down, you're going to want to start to move in closer to the bank in shallower water, say in 20 feet, where the trout are more likely going to hang out and be throughout the day. A lot of times what I see is anglers get stuck in their ways thinking they need to fish deeper because they see fish on the graph the same way they would in the summertime, and they're not changing it up to fish in a little bit shallower where you might have a better opportunity to get some bites. But as you start to see the different conditions happening throughout the season and the water temperatures and the air temperatures start to cool, it's your opportunity to move from deep into shallow and get on some really good days of fishing. Now fall fall trolling tip number 2 is to pay attention to the sun, and this is critical for a few reasons. Firstly, pay attention to which areas of the lake the sun is going to hit first. The trout want to be in some warmer water, so as the sun rises up, pay attention to what areas of the lake the sun hits first, and I guarantee you that there's going to be some trout in those areas. Then secondly, depending on where the sun is rising in the morning or sunsetting in the evening, pay attention to where the light is hitting the water, because with that extra light penetration, you're going to be able to use some different baits and some different colors that the trout are going to see differently as opposed to being in the shade or in the darker depths of the water. So pay close attention to where the sun's at and where the sun is hitting the water, and that's going to help you produce some really early good morning bites, but also consistent bites throughout the day. And fall trout trolling tip number 1 is to have a variety of different depths and stagger your bait depths when you're trolling all the time. When it comes to trolling, you could have fish at all kinds of different depth in the water. So by playing around with where your baits are hanging out, you're going to give yourself the best opportunity to find bites. So once you get out there, get your gear out, stagger it at different levels, and get ready to have some epic days when you find that one depth range where the trout are hanging out and absolutely going nuts. And there you guys have it, my top 7 fall trolling for trout tips. Hope you guys got some great information to go apply out in the boat the next time you're trolling for trout in the fall season, and hopefully you have some epic bites or even that one 20 or 30-inch trout. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, smash the thumbs up on that video. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing if you love trout fishing tips, and other outdoor content. And don't forget, and as always you guys, the outdoors is a gift, share it with others.